So here I am back at the course home then, and we've got the announcements and the syllabus and so forth. But let's go ahead and prepare for week 3. I mentioned it's a snow day. I've also mentioned that there's some additional help available for you guys beyond me, and I wanted to suggest that if you don't already have a rhythm that you feel good about for navigating the course, here is one. Begin by reviewing all the tabs, and then very early in the week begin downloading and reviewing all the lectures. Remember, I have access to the download history, and so we'll talk about that in a second. That before the end of the day tomorrow, you'd want to join all of the discussion areas and think back on the rubric that I shared in week 1, at the end of week 1. I'm not going to offer that much extensive feedback. There just isn't time, but do let me know if you have any questions, or I'd be happy to talk to you about it. And then suggested too, later in the week, make sure you post to all the threaded discussion areas. The goal for this week is to get a good handle on your project plans for our first major writing project, your pitch, so we can move on to the second phase of the composing process: collecting, deciding, creating. Your working bibliography is going to be due next week, so you want to have already at that point gathered a good bit of the media that you'll be working with for that first digital media project. And I want to also point it out that I'm going to be cutting back on some of the required threaded discussion areas. Because as you move into your composing process for each of these major writing assignments, your reading and discussion load will need to lessen, but it needs to do that considerably to give you time and room for your creation. So think back to the lecture, especially the introductory remarks that I offered in week 2, for some more information about how the course is laid out. And of course, make extensive use of the various audios that are designed to help you understand what projects we have coming and to give you some ideas for that. So anyway, it's heavily weighted on input in the beginning of the course so that you can have space and time for output as the course moves forward. So again, the first thing we want to do is to look at when we get started any week is to kind of know where we are. Get an overview from the intro, some of the key terms we focus on: the Federal Writers Project, the WPA, something about the New Deal, which I really don't talk about. But Portrait of America does a little bit more. Oral history features prominently as well. And so in order to get the details on what we're actually required to do, we can look at our syllabus, but we can also look here. And notice that that reviewing the lecture is very prominent. You're going to need to do that. It's got the details on where our readings are and what we need to read. This key term, explore, that doesn't mean that you have to read this cover to cover right now. It just means thumb through it, and this is what I've mentioned before. Also explore, again, don't need to read cover to cover. These two collections that came out of Lori Grobman, this is Lori Grobman's article, This Class, that she's taught several times since. Also look at as inspiration, and I'm going to post these and ask us to discuss in our threads this, and then continue to explore options. Okay, so we kind of know what we're expected. We should also as well look at our various threads. What's being required of us? What do I need to do? So this is what we do at the beginning, just so you can know what you need to prepare for before you actually dive in. So these are the suggestions. And it's really want to get to the lecture after you've kind of given an overview and you know and download everything. I cannot emphasize this enough, folks. I'm so grateful to the folks who have been keeping up with this. But if you're not downloading, and I'm so glad to see those numbers up, but if you're not downloading the stuff that I'm creating, you're not getting the benefit of it. And of course, of course, I think it's important because I spent the time creating it. So if I think it's important, then at least at some level, it needs to be seen as that and downloaded and reviewed.